Hi everyone, welcome to Block Talk Live with Deanna and Quinn. My name is Deanna Hansen and I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name's Quinn Castellane. I'm the lead block therapist for Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy, and I'm a natural bodybuilder.
So today we're going to be talking about struggles with losing weight. We're going to tell you why, and we're going to give you the solution to how you can actually gain the body that you've always wanted. This is such a personal issue for me. In my 20s, I was 50 pounds overweight and I was struggling really hard. As an athletic therapist, I learned what to do. You know, I learned all about the different ways we should approach fitness to get the body we want, how to approach nutrition, how to get the body we want, and I was applying that. Yet it wasn't working for me. So not only was I struggling in my body and my size, I was feeling like an absolute failure because it wasn't like I wasn't putting the time and the effort in, but all of those efforts actually made me bigger, and they increased my chronic pain, my anxiety, my depression, my addiction. It was all wrapped up into how I was feeling about myself. And you know, for women especially in the world, we associate our self-worth with our appearance. And I mean, look at every single magazine out there. We are bombarded with how we're supposed to look, and it's just not natural. It's not accessible to look the way that we're told we're supposed to look to have value. So I am so thrilled that 17 years ago now, I had the worst anxiety attack of my life, because that was the seed that has sparked this entire movement for me, and to create really simple to do programs for people so that you can gain the health, the body, and the life that you always want. So Quinn and I are going to be talking today a lot about the reasons why people struggle with their size and their shape. And we're going to go through some of the different block therapy positions to show you how simple it is to do and to really educate you on why this works. Because, I mean, honestly, there's a billion things out there for weight loss.
Literally.
Like if you're searching to try to find that solution, you will be bombarded with diets, with supplements, with all these different plans and programs, and you can spend a fortune trying to find the right one. And there's a ton of great stuff out there, because yes, eating well, of course, that's going to make a difference. If you're active with your body, of course, that's going to make a difference. But there's some key things that we don't really understand that are necessary to gain the body and the health that we want. So Quinn, from a perspective of bodybuilding and fitness, because I mean, you know, like, it's not like you've struggled with your weight. However, when you were bodybuilding like 3 years ago, when you were 18 years old, you were bulky and you were thick.
I look completely different than I do today.
Yeah. So this isn't just for women, this is for everybody. And even if weight loss or size change isn't what you're looking for, it's still about positioning your cells correctly so that we have the body that we want, so it can function efficiently and it can, you know, go through time with ease. We don't want to be struggling. We don't want to age. We don't want to have to stop doing the things that we want to do. And we want to look great doing it, right? Exactly.
Totally.
So as a physique bodybuilder, just explain some of the things that you've done with this block that has made a difference in your whole appearance.
Honestly, it's a list that will probably never stop. But the key things that I've really noticed, well, first of all, because I never really had to struggle with weight, but let's just go back about 3 years when I was 18 years old. My core, you would think when you're 18 compared to 21 that my waist would be smaller at the age of 18. My waist is a lot smaller now, and there's photos, this is actually on my YouTube channel, that my waist is a lot smaller now, and it's because I've put the space, we're going to be explaining all this, but I've put the space back into my core that I lost over time because I wasn't conscious of my posture, wasn't conscious of my breathing. I was eating as much food as I could to bulk up. Again, that's another topic, but I couldn't believe just my waist, how much smaller it got. I'm like, there's no fat there. Like, I still am the same or similar body fat, but it's smaller. So how could that be? Which we'll explain. And then my whole symmetry, proportion, alignment is key for bodybuilding and even physique modeling, etc. Because it's all about your posture, how you look, how you appear. Because if you're collapsed and you're out of alignment, it's not gonna look proper. It's not gonna look good. and then that's where the asymmetries kick in. But I've been implementing this into the gym. Deanna's been helping me actually more recently. This is super cool. We just kind of created a new spark on how I'm implementing this more so into bodybuilding. I don't even want to just say bodybuilding, just working out and being healthy and looking good, feeling good. So I've been doing this like crazy before the gym to open up the roadways to improve the blood and oxygen flow before you actually work out that muscle group. I love doing block therapy right after a workout because that, again, you're all compressed. Yeah, you can be pumped up, but you're compressed, you're out of alignment for most of people if you're not training correctly. And this really opens the gates after a workout to improve the blood flow. Most importantly, the oxygen. You're gonna increase oxygen absorption, and then the nutrients you eat after to rebuild that site correctly. You're only delivering more of that, more blood, more oxygen to rebuild it into its correct alignment. So even when we're training ourselves in correct alignment, and we're doing the block after just to improve that and to, to assist. So it works very, very well.
So let's get down to the education part.
Yeah.
The reasons, first of all, why we struggle. And we need to really understand what's called fascia. Fascia is the connective tissue that connects us from head to toe. And, you know, it was only in 2007 that they had the world's first fascia conference. And I went to this, it was at Harvard. And I was so excited because it was a combination of the medical community, yogis and body workers, people that deal in the fascia system to come together and to try to understand this system and chart a course for the future. So this is something that's, you know, fairly recent in the world as a system that we really need to understand. And I feel I have a really good, deep understanding of this because if you look on blocktherapy.com, you will see my before picture when I was in my 20s. Again, it wasn't just the fact that I was larger. My entire face is different. My symmetry is different. It's all about realigning our cells. And every cell in your body has a position that it should be in. It's when our cells fall out of alignment that we start to struggle and compression happens. So I'm just going to stand up here and I'm going to show you a little bit of postural stuff as to the reason why it's so important to understand what we need to do to be healthy and to be in control of our size and shape. So first of all, I'm going to give Quinn this balloon. So as I'm explaining with my body, he can be explaining with this balloon what I'm talking about.
Such a perfect analogy.
So I'm going to stand sideways for you here. Now, I'm not claiming that I have perfect posture because I'm still on my journey, but I've come a long way from where I used to be. And what I understand is that when we have proper alignment in our rib cage, we keep the space that we need for our organs to function properly. Now, what happens due to unconscious posture and breathing is over time, we fall out of alignment and the rib cage literally starts collapsing into the core. And we also tend to shift over to one side because we're dominant on one side. So just from changing my positioning of my rib cage, this is what happens to my belly. So obviously, I look like I have a bigger belly here than when I'm standing properly and positioning my rib cage where it's supposed to be. Now, really obvious is when you see it from the back. So I'm going to turn my back to you here so you can see the difference. So again, when I'm standing properly, this is how I appear. And then when I fall out of balance, this is how I look. And for me, when I look at what's going on here, I think I look about, 30 pounds bigger compared to when I'm standing like this. So, have you been sharing with the balloon?
No, I haven't, but I kind of just wanted to explain because let's just say this is a perfectly aligned cell. But as Deanna explained, like when you collapse, you're literally the connective tissue known as fascia is literally applying pressure and sealing our body out of alignment with a force of up to 2,000 pounds per square inch. So that compression is doing this to the balloon. So the balloon, we're not adding any air to it, but when I squeeze it, it's clearly getting bigger. So our fat cells are under pressure, causing them to get larger. So again, I'm just going to show that again.
And it's not just our fat cells under pressure, it's every cell that's under pressure. That's everything in the body, whether we're talking about an organ cell, a muscle cell, a skin cell, a fat cell. When everything is under pressure and we get the ballooning, it's involving everything. And the really interesting thing to know is there's only 2 times in our life when we actually increase the number of fat cells, when we're babies and at puberty. So if you think of where your body was at puberty, and now say I'm 47, so let's say you're like almost 50 years old, it's not like we're increasing the number of fat cells if we're getting larger. What's happening though is gravity is applying this continual downward force on our body, and if we're not conscious and moving through time without allowing gravity to win, we're going to compress. And again, as soon as I compress, we're going to lose that height and tissue's going to balloon outward. Not only that, when the rib cage falls into the core this way, we have our stomach organ. I'm going to show you an anatomy picture later so you can see it, but we have our stomach here, our liver here, and we have our gallbladder, our pancreas, we have our lungs and our heart. All of these things in through here are supported by the muscle called the diaphragm, which is important to assist in breathing. But what happens when we don't have that proper breathing and we fall out of alignment is we don't digest properly, we don't eliminate properly. So now we have food in here, we have waste in here, and we become toxic. So not only are we adding size from compression and ballooning, we're also adding size from the buildup of toxins, of undigested food, of waste. In fact, what do you say to people in class all the time?
Oh, I just love to gross people out. The average person dies with approximately 50 to 80 pounds of dead fecal matter in their system.
So think about that. You know, if you feel like you're 50 pounds overweight, it's not that you have more fat cells, it's that you have an accumulation of toxins and waste in your system causing that ballooning. And if we don't have our system functioning and working properly for us, it gets backed up. So if you have something like acne, for example, or if your armpits smell really bad, or if you have skin rashes, that's these toxins trying to come out of your body because we've collapsed and we've blocked everything from working there. So I just want to share a little bit about the fascia and that 2,000 pound per square inch seal, because again, think about that. Our fascia will seal us out of alignment with a force of up to 2,000 pounds per square inch. So for me to sit here and say, you know what, we can sit like this, or we can look that much smaller just by lifting the rib cage up out of the core, it is that simple in concept, but we have to deal with that 2,000 pound per square inch force. And the fact is, it's all about magnetics. So I have some magnets here. Now, if I try to pull these magnets apart, you know, they're held together really strong. Yeah. If I turn, then I can very simply release them compared to trying to pull them apart this way. I'm actually trying here. Yeah. And, you know, I can do it if I really force, but if you think about over the course of, say, 20 years, if you've been sitting in front of a computer this way for 20 years, what happens is these cells over here, they create a relationship and they fall in love with each other and they don't want to let go of each other. Yeah. So you're going to say, hey, I want to sit up straight. I want to have a flatter belly. I want my back to look smaller. But you've got this relationship happening with cells that aren't supposed to be that close together, but they've magnetically sealed now because it's been over years and years and years of accumulation. Yeah. So what is so amazing about block therapy is that it gets in there and it releases that magnetic seal so that we can lift that rib cage up and out of the way. And the reason why this is so important is because of proper breathing. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the diaphragm muscle and conscious breathing, and how when we are conscious breathers, our entire physiology, the way that we look, feel, function, is different compared to if you're an unconscious breather. So, Quinn, I would like you to lie on the floor, and I just want to share with people where the breath should be coming from compared to where most people breathe.
Totally.
So let's have you lie on your back. Okay, so first of all, the diaphragm is a plate of muscle that basically supports the base of the rib cage. Now, when this muscle is working properly, it moves up and down in the body. In fact, when we inhale, the diaphragm moves down. When we exhale, the diaphragm lifts. So now you can see Quinn here is breathing from the belly. This is Quinn working his diaphragm muscle. So again, think of this pumping action in the core of the body. If we breathe continually this way, we have this heating effect in the body. Now I'm going to have you breathe in correctly. Now this is how most people breathe. We've been taught that we want to have a flat belly, so people think, well, I'm going to hold my stomach in. I'm going to hold my belly in. But what happens if you don't allow this muscle, this action to happen, we're going to breathe with secondary muscles. And they're not efficient because they're secondary muscles. We will use these muscles to breathe if we take a really deep breath, but we shouldn't be using these muscles as our primary muscle to pull oxygen into the body and remove waste from the body. So I like using the analogy that when we breathe diaphragmatically, it's like turning on the furnace compared to breathing up through here, which is like a space heater, which is only going to heat one room instead of your whole house. I also like using the analogy of an inboard motor. If you're a fisherman, you know, like that inboard motor is a lot more powerful than the trolling motor. So we have this mechanism inside our body to keep us healthy, and it will pull in up to 6 times the oxygen. That's huge.
It's insane.
You know, our brain will die in 5 minutes if we don't have oxygen, and our cells are the same. So here we have this mechanism to feed every single one of our 100 trillion cells optimally with oxygen, yet we're not using it. And the problem is now is we actually can't even access it because we've fallen so far out of alignment that diaphragm muscle is getting blocked and it's not working. So now where all of these organs would be getting this continual massage and heating effect, they're starting to get cold. They're freezing up. And what happens when things get cold, we all know here, we're from Winnipeg. Yeah. We all know what happens to the car in the winter. If it's freezing outside, you can't even get it started because it's frozen. And that's what we're doing to our body. We're freezing our body. So to get back to proper diaphragmatic breathing from every perspective of health, whether we're talking about size and weight, or we're talking about having proper amounts of energy, or dealing with chronic pain or disease, when we learn how to breathe properly, it's a game changer for our health, our wellness, and our appearance. So Quinn, do you have anything to share about breathing?
Well, I just want to say, because I'm a conscious diaphragmatic breather now, when I purposely breathe through the muscles in the upper chest, I actually almost feel like I have anxiety in a way. Like, it's kind of weird. It's like, I just feel anxious.
Yeah.
But as soon as I bring the breath back to the belly, I just feel calm and relaxed.
And I'm going to share why. In fact, it was in Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, where he says, only when we are breathing diaphragmatically are we living in the moment. When we're breathing through the muscles of the upper chest, we're connected to patterns of stress in the mind, which connect us to past and future, which is where fear lives, because it's not real. The only thing that's real is what's going on in the moment. Also, diaphragmatic breathing connects us to a brain pattern that is relaxed. When we start breathing up here, that's really indicative of that fight or flight.
Yeah.
Because that was a function for survival in past, given to us to survive. Things have changed now, and we're all living in a stress-filled world. So pain, stress, and fear cause us to reactively hold the breath. So we've learned habitually over time to hold our breath, but we're still going to breathe because our body's still going to be equipped to survive. So now we're all living in this fight or flight mode 24/7. And where that was a gift for survival before, now it's become a real hindrance.
Makes so much sense.
To our health.
Yeah.
So when we are breathing up here, it is causing anxiety, and that was a trigger for survival in the past. Now it's causing all of us to be very, very unhealthy and to go through life accumulating time in our tissue in a way that we don't have to. So what's so awesome is with block therapy, we can actually get in there, release those compressed areas that are blocking blood and oxygen flow to cells, improve oxygenation in general to our whole system, which is going to make us sleep better, feel better, look better, move better, digest better, eliminate better. Everything is going to work more effectively when we give the body exactly what it needs. Even when we're hungry. If we're hungry, our body is so smart, it's so ingenious. If we're starving for oxygen, your body's going to be hungry because it's hungry for what it requires. So we'll feed it with food because we don't even realize that, we're not breathing properly. But when we start learning how to breathe diaphragmatically, suddenly our appetite changes because we're actually giving our cells what they need to function and survive properly.
And that's something, I'm just going to come up for a second. That's something I noticed when I first started block therapy because I was eating a lot of food. And this is when I just was starting to get into bodybuilding. I noticed I wasn't nearly as hungry. I actually wrote a little article blog on that about 3 years ago. And I'm like, how is my appetite like totally gone? Like I don't even want to eat. It's because my body was starving for not those macronutrients, but the most important micronutrient known as oxygen, and that just changed everything. So I'm actually eating less, but I'm still making great results all the time. So that was just a cool little pointer.
Totally. So I would love to share some of our block therapy positions and why it's so easy to do, so efficient at making changes, and so you can just see that it's safe and it's simple to do. So in my 21dayblockblitz.com, that's where the intro program is to get started on this. And I call it an intro program just because it's for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's for everyone, it's simple to do, and the effects and the benefits are far-reaching. And what's amazing is, I mean, remember, it was just last year we had somebody send us, by day 10, their whole system was changing. They had a bunch of surgeries in their pelvic area, and the range of motion was improving. They lost inches in days.
Do you remember how many?
I think it was 6 inches in 10 days, actually,
I actually remember it was 6 inches in 7 days.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I had to mentally note that, but I was blown away when I heard that, and she was just like, I've never seen so many exclamation marks and smiley faces. That was really cool. That makes us really happy.
Also, Kathy, who I put through the program just to prove that it works and that it's easy to do. There's a before and an after picture of her on the 21 Day Block Blitz page, where you can see what happened to her in 2 rounds of 21 days, and she did nothing else. She changed not her diet, she didn't add any exercise, she didn't change anything. She just did this 15-minute per day program, and she had huge benefit. And it's all listed. You can see exactly like how much different she is. And the great thing about it for her, what I was getting back from her, it wasn't just about her size changing. She's like, Deanna, like, I'm addicted to this. She said, I feel calmer, I'm sleeping better, I'm digesting better. And that's the whole thing. It's not about size, it's about health inside. And when we're healthy inside, our body reflects that outside. So let's share a couple of positions so people can actually see.
For sure. I just wanted to quickly add on to that, because you can have the intention of, like, this is just adding on to what Deanna said, you can have the intention of wanting to lose weight. You can have the intention to fix your chronic back pain. But there's going to be side benefits to that no matter what. As Deanna mentioned, because we're realigning our cells correctly. So then, as Deanna mentioned, your digestion, the absorption of the nutrients, the elimination, as I mentioned, that gross fat earlier, all of that is going to contribute to the size loss.
So when we get into the 21-day program, we wanted to make it so simple that there is no reason you can't do it. So 15 minutes per day, because I have a DVD that has 3 classes on it, which you actually get with this program, and they're 45 minutes. And not everybody has 45 minutes in a day, but most people have 15 minutes to give to themselves in a day for their health. And block therapy is a therapy, a meditation, and an exercise, all wrapped up into one very simple to do practice. So you're getting so much concentrated into this little period of time that there's just no excuse not to do it, because again, the benefits are phenomenal. So Quinn, I would like you to share this position, the front one, because it's day 1. What we do is we have 3 positions per day, and we always start with the belly position, but in day 1 we do belly and we do the lower ribs on each side. And the reason that this is so important is, again, because we fall in here. So as I'm stuck in here, I'm right-handed, so typically we shift over to the less dominant side to keep that dominant side free for action. This will contribute to my shoulder pain, my neck pain as well. So again, this is a full body program. But when we collapse here, we are blocking, again, my stomach from properly digesting. And it's so important that we align the rib cage. So the first day, we do belly here and here to start creating a release in this area. So let's get you on the floor and demonstrate what's happening here.
All right, so I'm going to start on the left anterior ribs.
Yes. So we're just demonstrating to show you how simple and how easy it is to do block therapy. It takes no skill, which is great. We do give you in that 21-day program the 3 videos to cover your whole body, and it's in that first video, the core one, which we always want people to do because this teaches you how to use the block safely. And again, it's so simple to do, but it's all about instructing you on how to breathe properly and how to move in to the tissue. So again, remember with the magnets, if I try to pull them apart, it's a lot harder than if I just do this. So energy moves in waves and spirals. There's no straight lines in nature. And the way that the body ages is in waves and spirals. We don't just collapse in this linear fashion. We wind down over time in our very unique way. So what we want to do is we want to tap into those seams so we can be really efficient at releasing that tissue and creating that proper alignment of the rib cage. So the really great thing is pain is your guide, because we fell out of alignment due to unconscious posture, breathing, and pain. So we're going to use that pain to bring us back and to be super efficient at lifting up the rib cage. So when you're lying here, first of all, you're instructed on proper diaphragmatic breathing, and that's in the video. Every 30 to 40 seconds, I'm reminding you to exhale fully. And we make the exhale the focus, because remember how I showed you when we inhale, the diaphragm moves down in the body. When we exhale, it lifts us. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So gravity is this constant force pulling us down. Gravity creates compression. Compression creates blocks to blood and oxygen flow to cells. That is what creates aging, pain, and disease. So if we don't compress, we're not accumulating that time in our tissue. And it is from the full conscious exhalation that we go through time and we fight gravity, because we have that in our body to do that. But again, we've collapsed and we've blocked that ability because the fascia is now holding us out of alignment. So when we're doing this here, Quinn is simply moving into those pain spots because that's where everything is being held. But the really great thing is pressure overrides pain. So the pressure fibers are larger in diameter than the pain fibers. So if we have pain somewhere and we get into the position and we take our time with our breath, those pressure fibers kick in. So now it actually feels like good sensation. I don't even want to call it pain, because it's not even really pain. It is pain, but it's something that we actually start to learn to crave. And that's the addictive component. I think you want to say something here.
Well, no, it's funny because we talk about how the fascia is magnetic, but it feels like the pain is magnetic. It's like once that pain starts to subside, you're like, okay, well, I feel better in that area, and you're like, I want to go over here because this is where I feel pain. As soon as you find the new area of pain, you stop and then you just focus on the breath. It's literally the simplest thing to do. You search for pain in your body and you breathe diaphragmatically and you notice results. It's that simple, but that effective.
It is that simple. And with every position, we hold for a minimum of 3 minutes because it's all about melting. We are frozen. We are, whether you want to look at it from a magnetic seal or we're frozen, it's the same thing. It's about tissue temperature. So when people say melting fascia, it's not the fascia that we're melting, it's the restrictions and adhesions holding the fascia out of alignment that is what we're melting, so we can release everything and put it back. So again, just like me falling into my rib cage, I'm not melting away my fascia, I'm melting away the restrictions holding this so I can bring my rib cage up and back and get back to proper diaphragmatic breathing. And then this is going to help me digest better, help me eliminate better, and all of those things. So Quinn, now come up off of that position. And let's actually just show people the belly position, because even if you do nothing else in your life and you have a book, you can still access this position and improve your health by doing just this. So let's get you to show the belly position. And I'm going to explain where this came from for me and why it is so important. So long before I started block therapy, I was doing fluid isometrics, and that's the actual technique that I developed that I've been teaching to therapists to do. I learned it first on myself. That is what changed my entire physiology, my entire body, the way I feel, the way I look, the way I function. And then I started teaching therapists this technique. But what I noticed when I was working on patients, if I was working in their belly, I would try to get them to breathe properly from the belly. And so many people are so collapsed that they couldn't even access that. It wasn't triggering in their brain where that muscle was because it was so lost from consciousness. So what I started doing was I started putting pressure into their belly with my hand. And I said, push back. So they could do that because now I'm making them aware of that area. They would push back, and then eventually it was like, okay, now they found that action. So when we lie on the block, right on the belly button, and you are instructed to inhale into the block, it's the same thing as when I was pushing on people's belly and they would be pushing back. We are finding where those muscles are to work. So this gives you that cue, that prop to understand that this is where the breath should come from, because truly we don't even know that we're not breathing right. Most people think, well, I am breathing. And the reality is we are all breathing. If we're alive, we're breathing. But again, breathing diaphragmatically compared to how we're breathing, we create a very, very different body and a different mindset. So Quinn, would you like to explain how this feels?
Well, there's a lot of different sensations that you can experience while doing the belly position. At first, of course, you may feel pain, you can feel pressure, some discomfort, of course. But once you start sinking into the block, you start feeling a bit of a pulse. You may feel this as well. And this is your aorta. So your aorta is the largest artery feeding out of the heart. And if you're feeling that, that's a good thing. But as Deanna mentions, when we collapse, that actually, if you can demonstrate kind of with your hands how it strangles the aorta. So now we're literally preventing that major artery to pump blood to our entire body. So this, you're going to feel the pulse, and we're going to release that restriction. So then new sensations may surface as you spend time here. So for me initially, it can be kind of like a pressure, not as much pain because I've been doing this for a long time. But if you've just eaten, you can feel a little, I don't want to say nauseous, but it's sensations you can't really describe necessarily, but once you're there, you feel it go away, which is really, really cool. So right now, I just feel really calm, to be honest.
And isn't that the nice part of this? This is that meditative piece. And the reason it brings calm is because we're taking our focus out of our thinking. And you know, whether like that's what meditation is about. It's to try to calm the monkey brain, the monkey mind from thinking so much. And we need help with that, because you know, I can't sit there and meditate and stop my brain, but I can do block therapy and I can pull my focus to the pain with my breath, and it stops my brain because now I'm focused somewhere. So there are so many amazing benefits. Sometimes when we do the belly position, though, it can be painful because we do have all this waste in there, but that's going to help to move it through the system properly. So it's a process. So with this 21-day program, what's great about it is you do 21 days and you just start back at day 1 again, and this becomes your 15-minute per day habit. So not only do we focus on the core with the 21-day program, we get into the hips, we get into the armpits so that we can align the entire core of the body from the base all the way to the top. And then with the 3 videos that you also get with this program, we get into the legs and feet, we get into the head, neck, and arms as well. So you're really getting a full body program with this 21-day program. And if this is the only thing that you add into your life, man, is it going to change everything? It's going to change how you look, how you feel, how you function, and it's going to change your size. So just some of the amazing benefits of doing this. So Quinn, how about you share a hip flexor position?
Hip flexor, I'll do the left side here. So you're gonna feel this bone here. This is part of the pelvis, your ASIS bone. I'm just bringing the block buddy just below that bone, just above the quad, targeting the hip flexors.
And I'm just gonna stand behind you just so I can explain a little bit why it's so important that we understand why we need to release the pelvis in order to create the proper size and shape that we want. So again, when we stand unconsciously, we tend to fall into our less dominant side. So again, I'm right-handed, 70% of the population are right-handed. This is a very typical way people stand. We shift that weight over and we mess up our center of gravity a little bit. So the body is ingenious in its design, and it's always trying to protect us. So as I'm falling out of balance, everything shifts and we create these false floors. We have foundations in our body that are designed to support cellular alignment. If we don't adhere to those proper foundations, the body is going to create false walls and false floors. That's compression. That's the problem. That's what's creating those blocks to blood and energy flow. So if my pelvis isn't aligned properly and I'm stuck in this position, I'm not going to be able to release through here to bring the rest of me into correct alignment to access proper diaphragmatic breathing. So that's part of the education, is how to align your body correctly so that we can create this wonderful, open, spacious body that has full range of motion. Every cell is fed and clean, which keeps us alkaline as opposed to acidic, which means we'll be healthy. Disease won't be able to come in and take over our body, because disease does not exist in an alkaline environment. And the environment becomes acidic because we get full of garbage. So if we can not only feed the cells, but we can't also keep them clean because of blocks in the area and compression, which create garbage dumps essentially in the body, that's what's going to make us sick. So by doing this, we create releases in the body so that everything learns to flow properly and we can feed every cell. Not only that, when we start breathing diaphragmatically and we start inflating those cells, we become lighter. So if we have compression, we are heavy, we're dense, gravity can manipulate us faster and age us faster. The more we open up the cells and the tissue and we connect to that proper breath, the lighter we become. And when we're lighter, we simply feel better because we aren't as burdened by life. We are more capable of being creative, more capable of listening to what's going on inside of us, as opposed to being affected by the clutter of life and all the stress that's around us, because frankly, it's everywhere. I mean, you look on Facebook today and we're bombarded with like ridiculous stuff, and that can affect you. Because what that's going to do, if you see a post that's something that's scary, it's going to stop you from breathing, because pain, fear, and stress cause us to reactively hold the breath. But when you learn how to breathe diaphragmatically, whatever comes into your conscious awareness, you release with that full exhalation. So when we have control of how we breathe, what's going on out here doesn't affect what's going on in here. And that's the key to being happy and peaceful. It's having that inner peace, because when we're anxious, which is where this all started for me with an anxiety attack, when we're anxious inside, life is not good. It's frustrating, and we can't see the good because the anxiety, the depression is overriding and taking away our ability to connect to our inner gifts. So this really just helps on so many levels open up the body. So the weight loss factor for me, that was big in the beginning, but I've learned so much more. I've learned how this is so incredibly important for the state of our being, just to be happy, healthy human beings so that we can actually contribute positively to society. So I just want to take this anatomy book and I just want to show you right now what's going on so you can see inside, because it's important. Sometimes we don't know what we're doing. In fact, one of the reasons we don't exercise the diaphragm properly is because it's inside of us and we don't see it. You see people in the gym, they're working their pecs, they're working their biceps, their lats, whatever. But the most important muscle to work is your diaphragm muscle. So Quinn, I'm just going to make sure that I'm showing this properly. If you can go to the back there. I'm going to be sharing this. This is Alex Gray, most amazing artist ever, but
just a little bit lower.
A little bit lower.
Perfect.
Okay, so right here, this is the diaphragm muscle. This is the plate. When it's moving up and down, we have the liver, we have the stomach, the lungs, the heart. In here is the pancreas, the gallbladder's through here. So this working muscle is going to keep this heated and warm. If this isn't working, we're breathing from the muscles up through here, and this becomes weak and collapsed, and we end up pushing the organs out of alignment. In fact, nobody looks like this inside. This is a perfectly aligned person. That is nobody's reality. And I'm going to share why.
I'm scared to see what
nobody
the average person looks
stands
like.
perfectly. Everybody's fallen in. So again, if my stomach is here and I've collapsed through here, that organ is going to get pushed over here somewhere. So now the dots aren't connecting properly, and it's affecting our health. So Quinn, before we wrap up and we give people some guidance on where to go, do you have anything else you'd like to share here?
Well, just maybe for like a minute, I'll just quickly explain, because I'm more so in the bodybuilding fitness area right now. A lot of people go by weight. They go by the scale. And I used to as well, all the time. But even if I'm like, okay, like for me, I had trouble putting on muscle, but I could always get lean a lot faster. So I'm like, okay, always looking at the scale. I'm like, a bit heavier this week, a bit heavier this week. For some people, am I getting lighter? Am I getting lighter? Am I getting lighter? I want to lose the weight. It doesn't come down to that, because think of it, there's so much going on. We talked about the 50 to 80 pounds of dead fecal matter in your system. You have no idea how much that contributes to your weight, obviously. There's so many factors, so many components that we can't go by that. And again, I feel lighter. Like, I feel lighter from doing block therapy. I feel buoyant. It's hard to explain. Almost kind of like a new species. It's weird to say that, but when you do it, you kind of know. And all you blockbusters out there, you all kind of know what it's like. You feel completely different. It's almost hard to explain. You're always in like this euphoric kind of state. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in. Like, don't always go by the scale. Go by your appearance. Go by the proper posture and alignment, because that's going to make such a big difference with everything. And it's going to take the stress away from me, because I was stressed. I'm like, I'm not gaining weight. I'm not gaining weight. Then that creates more stress. That can release more cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and everything is just like going downhill. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that in.
Actually thank you, because like that's huge. I remember back years ago, the number on the scale would dictate my mood for the day. I mean, that's how messed up I was as well. Yeah. You know, if I was a couple pounds more, I was depressed for the day. If I was a couple pounds less, I was happy for the day. And you know, I finally recognized, like, wow, like I'm allowing this number on the scale to dictate how I view my life, which was ridiculous. And it wasn't good, because it's crazy. So I've gotten rid of the scale. Now I go by how I feel. And, you know, I also forgive myself more now, because I know, like we had over at Graham's, we had this monster Thanksgiving turkey dinner. It was fantastic. So and of course we overstuff ourselves, but now I know what to do. So before, I used to be terrified of those big dinners, because I'd be thinking, oh my God, I'm going to eat this big dinner, and then it's going to take me a week before I feel like I'm normal again. And in that week, I'm going to have to be really conscious of what I'm eating, where that's not even a part of my life anymore. I'll go and I'll overeat. And by the next day, my system is so efficient now, because it's heated from proper breathing, that you reset to neutral really fast. Even if you go on a holiday and it's 5 or 6 days, it might take a couple days to get back, but it's not going to be like this big burden on your head. And yeah, it's just so amazing. Another thing that we notice with block therapy is weight doesn't always change when size changes, because it's not about weight loss as much as it's about space gain, size loss. So if I'm this way and I start pulling my rib cage up and back, my waist is going to get smaller, but that doesn't necessarily mean the number on the scale is going to change right away. So that's just something to be aware of. Go with how you feel. And when we can really learn to change the way that we view our body shape and what we need to do to make it healthy, everything is going to fall into place. So if this is something that resonates with you, the 21dayblockblitz.com, 21dayblockblitz.com. In fact, Quinn, if you want to show the picture of the cover of the book, that's what this will look like if you go and get 21dayblockblitz.com. It is a very affordable, efficient, lifelong program that will change your life. If this isn't something that you're ready to do, but you want a little more information, you can go and get a free gift at unblockyourbody.com. You can download 3 steps to unblocking your body from pain, pressure, fat, and fatigue. And if you have questions and you want to talk to somebody directly, you can fill in our assessment form and somebody will call you. One of our block therapists will call you, because we also have other programs. If you're thinking, you know what, this might be right for me, but I have a lot of other problems as well. I've had chronic back pain for 20 years, or I have fibromyalgia. Is this something that will benefit me? I guarantee you that it will. But if you want to talk to somebody that actually is one of our instructors and knows what they're doing, fill in that form and we will get on the phone with you so we can figure out together if this is the right thing for you. I don't want anybody purchasing anything from us if this does not resonate. We are not here to sell. We are here to educate and to create a solution. And we've, you know, it's taken years and years and years of developing this to make it so simple and so easy for you to do. And we have thousands of blockbusters through the world now, and we're growing. So if you want to give us a call, fill in one of those assessment forms. Again, unblockyourbody.com. Go and get your free gift. And I really want to thank you all for taking the time to listen. Next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central, we're going to be talking about cellulite. and educating you on how you can really get a grip on what's going on there so you understand it, and we're going to give you the solution for that as well. So
Perfect.
I want to thank you so
Can't
much.
wait.
I love doing this. It's so much fun.
So much fun.
So much fun. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you next Wednesday, 10 a.m.
Perfect. And again, just one last little thing here. Questions, email info@fluidisometrics.com. You can always email us. Just send it to there, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So
Wonderful.
awesome.
Okay, thanks.